Hey everyone, Audi 555 here. Today I've got some warming news to tell you all, so stay tuned. So here in Toowoomba, it gets bloody cold. I'm up on a mountain ridge and it's pretty high up, and basically because it's so high up, it's cold. And one of my subscribers eloquently described Toowoomba as the fridge on the ridge, which perfectly sums it up. In the morning in winter, it's easily 0 degrees on the way to work. Basically I want to keep all of my fingers, and because it's so cold, my USB heated hand grips, which is just these USB ISTOS brand ones that velcro onto their bars, they just don't cut it 100%, but they do a good job of just taking the edge off of the cold. So as you can see, this is a naked bike. I get a lot of wind blowing onto my hands, and even with winter gloves on, I can really feel the cold biting through. And when I'm on that highway traveling at 100 kilometers per hour, it's icy, especially on my thumbs. So I've come up with a solution which is either going to be ingenious or horrendous. So to fix the problem, I got myself some cheap Chinese hand grips, and I just picked them up from the post office, and now that we're home, I'll show them to you. So just like most motorcycles on my Honda CTX700, it's a naked bike, there's no hand guards or anything on there. So when you're riding along, you got all of the wind hitting your hand, and it just takes out the heat. So I've purchased these really cheap Chinese hand guards that are just for wind, not for like bush bashing or anything. They're made of plastic, just to cover my hands, so when I'm riding, my fingers don't fall off. So this is them, they've come in the mail. Jeez, I waxed my bonnet, everything just keeps falling off of it. How good is that? The suspense. Right, so as you can see, these look absolutely horrendous, but all I want them to do is the job that they're designed for. This horrendous orange thing, which I might end up pulling off, go on the handlebars like that, and they come with the mounting kit, and they don't look too out of place, and there's plenty of play in there for my hand and whatnot. That does look horrendous. I got to get rid of this orange streak. Point to note is that these are just generic. They're not specifically made for this bike. So you can put these on a lot of motorcycles. I've even seen a Honda Grom with a set of these on them. So in the package, it comes with everything that you need to mount this on your motorcycle. Now my bike is a manual bike, but they do make an automatic version of this called the DCT version. I've looked on forums and you can fit this to both the manual and automatic. So essentially you got a bolt, it'll protect the thing goes on the side. You got one of these on each of the sides for your bar end weights, but because the bike's already got bar end weights, you don't really need these, so you can put them aside. And then there's these other mounts that go where your mirrors mount onto to give it support, and the bolts to secure it in there. So to install it, I've just got a basic tool roll with spanners in it, screwdriver to take my bar end weight screws out, and a socket set. So I can't imagine I'd need much more than that. So the first thing you need to do is remove these bar end weights using a Phillips head screwdriver. Now if yours is spinning like this, it's just because there's a nut inside, so hold that and then undo that. Now keep these because you will need them for the installation, and keep all of that stuff in there so you don't lose it. So the next thing we need to do is take the mirrors off. So this is a little rubber cap which you just pull up, and then you can access these two nuts here. So I'm just using a 9/16 and a 14mm spanner. And these nuts are counter-rotated onto each other to keep them locked in place when you're riding. Now if you've got two 14mm spanners, I'm pretty sure that's what you'd use, but using the 9/16 will work just fine as well. The top one will go in and the bottom one will go out like this. You can just loosen this off. Now these mirrors, put them on the ground, you don't want to drop them. So now we need to take off these little mount things, and I'm just using the 14mm ring spanner and turn that around. Once again, take the whole thing off. Now we put these brackets in with the circle end in like that, and it goes down and out like so. Now back to these bits, you just need these little clippy things which go into here, and your original bar weight, which will then go like this. And you will need a 5mm Allen key for that. So just line them up and push everything up. If you rotate that good enough, you'll lock it into the correct position. I haven't done it all the way, so there's still a little bit of play in it, so I can get this all lined up to do the bolts in there. And you can see there's not much gap here. It's only like maybe 3mm. If you've got it in and it's sticking out and it's massive and it's easy to rotate, you just might not have that lined up with the cracked grooves on the inside. Alright, once again, not all the way tight, but good enough for now. Now, I'm not entirely sure where to put these. I think maybe you need them if you're using these bar end types, but I could be wrong. So let me know in the comments if I'm doing this wrong. But essentially those nuts are plastic and these are the metal ones, and that's what we're going to use to secure this down. So these will go through here, and then the other side, the nut, will go onto the bolt. Because it's still a little bit loose, it's easy to line that bracket up. Now we've done that, you can see it's tapping on that, so you want to adjust it so it doesn't hit it. And you may need to bend these things just to get them perfect. So I've just bent that bracket down a bit and now it's not tapping at all. So this side is in a pretty good spot, so I'm happy with that side. I can tighten that up soon. And then this side here, well, it just, let's be honest, it's too high up. It's way too high up. So that's where it's sitting and it's right up against that. Now I wonder if I can just loosen this and move this down. So let's try that first. There we go. So that's easy to move down. Throttle cable's still fine. So just tighten that up again. And now let's see if this bracket lines up a bit better. At least now there's plenty of room. Almost good, just a little bit more I think. Perfect. Oh, and if you've got Loctite as well, I suggest using it. And I've done a check here and it's not tapping the plastic at all. And I'm just grabbing a 10mm spanner and Phillips head screwdriver. Yeah, lovely. Look at that. So lining up mirrors could actually take you a long time if you're not too sure what you're doing. So basically you tighten up the bottom one, right? And then you loosen this top nut so it can freely spin on the mirror arm. You then wind it all the way up. So now you can see there's a bit of a gap here. You then rotate this around to where your mirror should be. You then use the spanner to hold the bottom one in place, and then the top one you have to spin the spanner to rotate that down against the bottom nut. So this top one will go anti-clockwise and the bottom one will want to start turning anti-clockwise. That's why I've got to hold the spanner there just to prevent that. And once they're touching, I can then put a bit of force in like that, and now they're not going to go anywhere. And then slide the boot down like that. Turn this so it's almost at the top, then back it off a bit so there's a bit of a gap. Your mirrors are probably counter-rotating on left and right, and that's so they don't undo themselves when you're riding. Right, so now I've gone to there and I'm like, well, that's not going to suit me, so I can just loosen that off and have a look at that gap. It's about a fingernail width, so I know if I turn this bolt down about a fingernail width, that this should line up roughly. Alright, there we go. Just going to loosen that up. And it's the opposite way to what you think on this side, which makes it bloody confusing. And there we have it, a set of horrendously ugly looking hand grips. Might need a little bit of a tweak here and there just to get them perfect, but overall they look alright. Let's be honest, that orange strip just looks hideous. I might even be able to remove this if I just hit it with a heat gun, and then see if I can just unpeel it. Alright, so you can see how cool I'm going to look with these high-vis handguards. Now honestly I'm going to take these strips off, but just to show you, they easily fit on a Honda CTX700. They're pretty firm, they're not going to go anywhere, and I'm going to get nice warm hands when I'm riding. And when my hand's on there you can see there's still heaps of room there. And when I ride wearing gloves, my hands are still going to be protected from that icy cold Arctic wind that we have here in Toowoomba. So tomorrow I'm going to go for a ride and we're going to test these out to see how they go, and I'll let you know in an upcoming video how they went. Alright, so that's it for today's video guys. As usual, keep safe out there on the road, stay on two wheels and not on your head, look after yourselves and don't lose fingers during winter, and I'll see you all next Tuesday. Laters! Oh, shiver me timbers. Right.